this presentation in a bit, but I will introduce myself for anybody who doesn't know me. I'm Kevin Kochansky. I'm client liaison at softwareservicesbyscientists.com. And of course, we're a service provider in the community, and there's a number of folks who do what we do. I'm not the only person that was involved in putting this presentation together. I wanted to make sure that we had input from the other service providers. So this was a collaborative effort. I have information in here that was provided by everybody that kind of offers services in the Samvera community. And it was also reviewed by folks. So this is a community presentation. And let's get the elephant in the room taken care of. This isn't really a sales pitch. My impetus for this, when I was thinking about what would be interesting to talk about, was that we had SoftServ had a couple conversations last year with institutions that had a need for a service, but they didn't realize that the service was available out there, something that they could outsource, that there were people that were even interested in doing it. We continue to work with Georgetown University, who are building their own haiku application, but didn't have the Samvera expertise on staff, and we meet with them a couple hours a week just to do some office hours and do some training for them and get their staff equipped to run their own application when the time comes. GBH was between project managers for a couple months, and we were able to step in and just do project management to keep their team on track, keep momentum moving, while they were able to take time with a thorough hiring process. So those are creative ways that SoftServ has worked with institutions that institutions might not be aware of. So I wanted to reach out to the others that provide these services in the community and share information about what we all can kind of offer out there. So it is a sales pitch in the sense that if you need the work, there's a list of service providers that can help you, but mostly it was about making sure people know that that work is out there to be assisted with. And then I thought while we were talking about service providers, it would be worthwhile to highlight some of the collaborations. It's very much a community, and the service providers are part of that. We all, and I speak for the service providers, try to contribute meaningfully and have collaborated with each other. It's always a collaboration and not a competition. So I have some projects that we've worked on with others that I just thought I would share more with the community about. So jumping in, some of the services out there, maintenance and support is something that is particularly useful for institutions that are just newly adopting Samvera, might not have the expertise, might not have the bandwidth, the amount of hours. And a lot of times, some of that is very logistical, technical things like server health monitoring, emergency response, but also there can be retainer hours for bug fixes and minor changes and keeping things running well, server tweaks. And a number of the service providers out there offer those kind of services to individual clients, even without hosting the application. That seems obvious, but sometimes somebody on staff who doesn't quite know the Samvera stack might take them quite a while, that something outsourced expertise could come in and do in just an hour or two. So it can be more efficient and it can be more cost effective. Project bootstrapping, solution design, specification, road mapping, all of that kind of get things planned is something that a number of the service providers offer, as an individual service. Even if we're not building an application, jumping in, looking at everything that is on your roadmap, everything that is on your list of requirements, understanding your server needs and architecting a solution that would match that, building out a roadmap and a project plan. Sometimes it's very helpful to have somebody from the outside come in and just evaluate the facts that way. And a little bit more on a project that DCE was especially helpful with a number of years ago, as I continue in the presentation. CoSector in particular wanted to mention that they have expertise in system integrations and metadata standards, which was specific enough that I wanted to make sure I mentioned that separately. Project management, I mentioned that SoftServ offers this, even if we're not building an application or doing development work, project management hours are available. Of course, all of the service providers that build applications do their own project management to some extent, but offering that as a specific service can be useful. Some projects we just jump in and do kind of Scrum leadership, keep things moving, running retrospectives and team building exercises. In my experience, it can be interesting to have an outsider kind of come in, not somebody that has the same team dynamics as somebody on board. And then, of course, there's times where you just don't have the resources. So DCE and SoftServ are at least two of the providers out there that could be of assistance in that case. I mentioned what we did with Georgetown. Customized training and developer onboarding is kind of a large topic. You know, whether it's just asking some questions in Slack and having somebody with the knowledge respond, or whether it's setting up a contract to have dedicated training that meets the specific institution's needs, like we've been doing with Georgetown, or offering workshops or other programs. DCE has run the Samvera camp in the past, and I think they may have interest in continuing that. And I know they offer a Samvera camp style training to individual institutions, you know, not just public versions. Last year, SoftServ offered the Samvera Developer Training Workshop Series. And we had, I think, 7 or 8 folks from the community enjoy that, join that for 10 sessions. And if there's ever any appetite for more of that, that's something that we would definitely continue kind of a second phase of, or to repeat the same program. Always looking for community feedback on that or for the need for that. And the last kind of thing I'll mention is application hosting. So most of the bigger institutions tend to do their own hosting, but sometimes it's easier to outsource it, have somebody else handle it. There's several options of cloud service providers, AWS, Azure, and others. I know the British Library is set up on Azure, and CoSector took care of that for them. SoftServ manages the hosting for the Haiku for Consortia project. And then Ubiquity and SoftServ also have kind of software as a service solutions in Haiku. So subscription-based repositories that can be customized, but that we host as a solution that's easily up and running. And there's information about those out there, and I'm happy to share more with anybody that is interested. So some of the collaborations that I wanted to highlight, 4 years ago, just as the pandemic began, Yale University Library wanted to start the digital collections project, you know, backed by the Beinecke Rare Books Library. Initially, they were moving from their Ladybird platform and had considered a Samvera solution. Ultimately, they needed more hands than they had. And in fact, they needed more hands than any one service provider had. So for the first 2 years of that project, the team was a large team of folks that were Yale engineers, DCE engineers, and SoftServ engineers all working together. In fact, we were split into sub-teams that were run with different project management, one from each of those institutions. And Mark Bussey at DCE was very integral in setting up the architecture for this plan, which wound up stepping back from Samvera, but still using a Blacklight-based interface with a lot of the same Samvera components, certainly a lot of the same skill set. And that project continues to today. Antleaf, in collaboration with Cottage Labs, worked on the NIMS project with the National Institute for Material Science in Japan. When they had resource issues, they came to SoftServ, and we were able to help wrap a few things as that project came to a close. So that was a small collaboration, but a successful one. In another case of not quite enough resources in one space, CoSector and SoftServ came together to work with the British Library. In this case, SoftServ is based in the UK. So this made some of the business logistics a lot easier, having the server management and the maintenance handled by a company in the UK, while SoftServ did a lot of the core development work. Was a good way of sharing the responsibilities and working on that project very successfully. And Ubiquity Press recently completed a accessibility audit. They did a VPAT on Haiku 5, which right now is the current release of Haiku, although 6 is coming soon. And they were very interactive with the community putting this together. Aaron McCullough led it and wanted to make sure that he had everything, all the right pieces to be evaluating things, asked for feedback on that audit. It was very much a collaborative effort, but we're very grateful that Ubiquity led that and worked with the community to make sure it was done the right way. I'm hoping that'll be available soon. If it's not already available, hopefully we'll get some information and have that shared out. I'm sure Ubiquity looks forward to sharing that with the community. So just wrapping up, kept this one brief, thankfully. We've got a list of websites and the different service providers out there. And if you have any questions, come to me. And if it's work that we can't do, I will definitely refer you to one of the folks on this list. And I look forward to seeing you around the community.